Welcome back to the competitive sports series.
The absolute carnage on this final lap. 5 red lights here in Miami. Can they regain that place?
I cannot believe my eyes.
Who comes out on top? Down the inside into Casio Triangle. This could end in disaster.
Zach Miles taking the lead. It was an all or nothing approach for the TF10 team.
And this could be crucial for NBR.
A race to remember for Jeremy Gallagher.
And they are officially the champions of the season.
It does not get closer than that. What a race. What a season. Live. Hello, good evening everybody. Welcome back to Competitive Speed Series. It's been a little while since we last went racing, and in that time we managed to get some cameras working for the lovely Frost, who's alongside me tonight for what is the first round of a brand new season. Firstly, before we get into who's going to be hot, who's not, how are you?
I'm very hyped. I'm so hyped, in fact, that I'm wearing my special t-shirt for the CSS series tonight. The CSS shirt itself from Simulus Clothing. So yeah, I'm very proudly wearing it tonight, and I'm really looking forward to what's going on tonight. 10 teams qualified in qualifying night. Was quite exciting to watch, and I'm really curious to see whether FVR can hold the title for twice in a row with this season, or whether some other team can mount a proper challenge.
Yeah, it's going to be a really exciting season ahead, and this is our first round of 12, and we got a really good and stacked calendar ahead of us over the course of the next couple of months. So here it is, your season as it is. Qualifying happened, been and gone. 10 teams qualified. Well, quite a few had to go on home from that one, but Australia, our first round tonight, followed by Spain, Brazil, Bahrain. Then we have a mystery GP, Austria, Mexico, Singapore, China, a further mystery round, and Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi to round off our season. March 15th to 16th, we'll then take a break and then hopefully pick up on a much better F1 25. But we've got a good season looking ahead of us. We've got a lot of good teams, a lot of known teams, and qualifying about to get underway in a couple of moments' time.
Yeah, and the biggest surprise for me personally is EVE. I mean, they were fighting for last and 9th place last season, and this qualifying night, they were actually quite up there with some of the best teams that we've seen last season. So I'm curious to see what they can bring to the table. They've got their top driver from the qualifying night, Nicolino, in, alongside, I just missed their name, but I'm going to look it up real quick. That is actually, where is the other Alpine? Taisto. I haven't seen him in qualifying night, but let's find out what their pace is going to be throughout the track here. Down under, Australia. Really curious to see what they can bring here.
Exactly, and let's take you trackside now because, well, 18 minutes of qualifying is upon us for the first round of the season. It is go time here, and it is absolutely going to be electric here. The very first round of the season. What will happen here? Well, it's anyone's guess. Yours as good as mine, and, well, now drivers spilling out onto the race circuit for their very first hot laps here. And it is the start of a brand new season, and well, no one in feeling like they're going to take particularly long to come out the pit lane. Everybody pretty much out on track already.
Everybody's hyped, aren't they? And the first one out is actually Gabriel Pinto, which is funny because the first message in the live chat was his name, and he decided to play up to that name calling there. Going out first, currently in sector number 2, of course, the new part of the track here. Several corners have been adjusted, heading towards turns 9 and 10, and the DRS zone, of course, a fairly new thing here. Making the total number of DRS zones here up to 4, which I believe is one of the most DRS zones on the entire calendar, isn't it?
Yeah, the most DRS zones of any track.
Definitely. It looks like one of the McLarens has actually decided to go first. That is the host of tonight's lobby, Jeremy Gallagher for VRM. I feel like they're going to be strong this season as they drive the Papaya cars, and Jeremy's car is going around the final corner right now. Let's see what he can do as he heads onto the main straight. DRS wide open. The Frenchman is going to show everybody what he's made of. We've known him for his speed in the last season as well, but he's driving for another team. This time, though, coming out for VRM alongside Theo Bulnes, both driving those Papaya cars right there. I believe both of them were present for qualifying night as well, and they were looking quite promising there indeed. Of course, the only team that didn't have to qualify was last season's champion. That was FVR, and tonight they have brought 2 drivers in the names of Nick Arrow and Sixten Lindhard. Let's see how fast they are going to be and whether they can be at the front row once again. But first and foremost, Jeremy Gallagher right behind him, fascinatingly, one of the FVR drivers, and then an Aston Martin following suit. End of the second sector. Let's see what Gallagher can do right there. 43.653. Then one of the trickiest bits there of the track. Nice corner cut. The lap is still completely valid, meaning that corner cut is perfectly fine as he approaches turn number 11. A slight change here as well. Ooh, a bit of a drift there going in, and I believe he slightly missed the apex. Then a few more corners to go as he heads onto the main straight. Turns 13 and 14 yet to go. Past the pit entry lane right there. Then power down as fast as possible. Don't be too quick there, though, or you'll lose the car. And it's going to be a nice lap time indeed. A 1 minute 15.2, in fact, is what it is. And Sixten Lindhard goes quicker straight away with a 14.9, as does Leonardo Tonelato with the 15.1. Gabriel Pinto in the RB 15.7. Jernej Dojan returns to the scene here in CSS for ABS with a 15.1. Then the other FVR driver, and there we are then. They are occupying the front row with Lighty for TTM just behind.
Yeah, really interesting start to this qualifying session. Looking at who's still to come across the line. Campbell Adams, top of the timesheets. Wow, what a lap time from him. Just got to him because he was the next driver to cross the line and just blitzed it. And, well, absolutely, top of the timesheets. Brilliant for him and TES. So many known teams here. TF10, you've got FVR, you've also got the likes of the TF10, so many established teams. But yeah, as you said, EVE could be off for a good season. They looked pretty good in qualifiers, but qualifiers is anyone's guess of true performance, so we'll see what they can manage and muster here in this qualifying session. 13.5 minutes to go still in this qualifying session, and Taisto is the only driver still on a hot lap. On an out lap, Fionn McKee at the moment, as well as Damien Carell, and Taisto into the pit lane. Now, let's pick up the next driver to begin a lap time, which will be Fionn McKee, but he's only just starting his out lap. So a little while to go until we have another hot lap on the track, but definitely interesting. Campbell Adams, top of the timesheets as things stand.
Also interesting to note that only half the field, while all going out early, have set a lap time. The other half have gone straight back in. Have they invalidated all of them, or was this some form of strategy, I wonder? Because that's interesting. 10 lap times in, 10 without. Fionn McKee is indeed the first one to go out of that group that have failed to set a first lap time. Let's see, the other TF10 driver, that is Mark Schluter, is currently sitting in P7. But the difference between, look at that, P4, 5, 6, and 7 are all a 15.1. And then Nick Arrow with a 15.0 in third place. They're all incredibly close together. There's a little bit of a gap from 8th to 9th place between Gallagher and Drax, 15.2 to 15.6. So some differences here and there, but other than that, the field looks quite close indeed. But we haven't seen the pace from half the field yet, and let's see if Fionn McKee can do the job for TF10.
Indeed, let's see what he can do for TF10. He's known for being a quick driver, but also known for being a little on the inconsistent side at times. What can he do, though, across the next couple of miles here of the Australian circuit? As you said, 4 DRS zones, the most of any circuit, so that DRS train in the race going to be absolutely lethal. And if I'm honest, I'm really here for it. Fionn invalidated, though, on his flying lap. Trying to figure out who's next behind. I believe that is Damien Corral, who's the next driver behind him for NLR.
Dutchman.
Yeah, indeed. Wonder what he can do here as he goes through Sector 2. Purple Sector 2, whether that's true or not, who knows. But now blasting through this third and final sector. And I mean that second sector, it's one technical corner and a straight. It's pretty easy. They'll be quite closely matched through there. It's that Sector 1 and Sector 3 where a lot of time can be made or lost around here. But the gaps will be very, very close. Damien Corral rear end slide around the final corner, and that's going to lose him a chunk of lap time. What can he do as he goes fourth? Not a bad lap time, but maybe, just maybe wanted that little bit more, you would have thought, from him. But let's see what everybody else can manage here. Trying to keep an eye on who's about to cross the line. I think Theo Bolnes is about to come across the line. He goes fourth. I'm not sure who's next. Nicolino, he doesn't get a lap time on the board. He invalidated. He has a few drivers coming across the line, but Nando Moreira is about to come across the line for TTM. His teammate's in 6th place at the moment. What can he do? So now he will come across the line to set his lap time. He only goes 9th, but not a million miles off his teammate at all. So nicely in the mix for him. And pretty much just like that, second run's done and dusted for most. But I did notice that Nick Arrow is on a flying lap at the moment.
Nick Arrow, third at the moment in the list. He's just started his hot lap, in fact, as he goes through the end of Sector 1. The difference already well over a 10th quicker than his previous attempt, getting a little bit closer to that coveted provisional pole, which is still, by the way, in the hand of Campbell Adams. Sixten Lindhart behind. Leonardo Tonelato has improved to a 1 minute 14.9 as well, moving Nick Arrow now down to P5 as Jeremy Gallagher gets very close to the provisional pole of Campbell Adams right in. It's also a 1 minute 14.8, but Nick Arrow's invalidated, so unfortunately this run for now is over for him. I believe Nicolino is coming in as well as his teammate Taisto. Neither EVE driver have been able to set a lap time yet. I just saw Janae Jovjan improve to P4, 14.9 as well. Lighty, quick as usual for TTM, moving up to P5, moving the FVR driver down to P7 already. So that means 5 drivers now remain without a lap time. 2 of them are from EVE. There's still David Martinez for AMR without a lap time. We haven't seen the Haas cars that much yet. Aaron Raminguez is the fastest of the both of them. 2 milliseconds behind Jack Humphreys from TES. The Haas sitting in P11 at the moment. Gabriel Pinto, I wonder if he's currently on a lap or whether he's just finished it. I believe he's currently going... Well, battery light's flashing, so I don't think he's on a lap at the moment. He's currently sitting in 14th, while his teammate is a bit further up right there. Damien Curiel with a 9th position, 1 minute 15.1. it's all quite close together. The difference between first place and, let's find out, P12 is about 0.3 of a second. And that, I think, is really, really close for a track like this.
Absolutely, yeah, really close. But as I said, like, a lot of that time you're going to find in that first and third sector, and I think Gustav Riederhall is probably about to see a little bit of that as well, as now he begins his hot lap, getting a little bit squirrely on the rear end there of turn 3 and 4, and yeah, even more so on the exit there. So, struggling for Riederhall at the moment, is now into that sector 2. I said that this was pretty much one technical corner and a straight, and he's abandoned the lap, and I'm not too surprised that he's abandoned that lap. It was not looking good. David Martinez, though, is on a hot lap and seems to be carrying on with a bit of decent pace for AMR at the moment. We said we haven't seen them much. Aaron Raminguez obviously in 11th at the moment. His teammate hasn't set a time, but now about to try and hopefully set a time now as the rear end gets a bit unsettled there through turns 9 and 10. And now into the final couple of bends of this lap, and it doesn't look like it's a bad lap for David Martinez at the moment. As you see there, I believe that is Theo Bolnes who's getting out of the way there, and now around the final corner, David Martinez goes. Where will this lap put him on the grid at the moment? He does seem to be a little way off of that pace, but it's only 15th, so not what he would have wanted at all. Who is the lead driver on a hot lap at the moment, though? Because there's a bit of margin and pace for a few of these drivers to find at the moment.
Trying to find it out as well. One of the drivers I'm following right now is again Fian McKee, still not with a lap time yet. His teammate sitting in P13, TF10. Strong last season, appeared to be a little bit off the back foot, at least considering Mark Schlutter's lap time, who in fact is a bit further ahead than his teammate and on the hot lap and 0.2 faster, meaning he will be going into the 1 minute 14s as well, potentially slotting himself somewhere in between the times of Jeremy and Sixten, unless he can find a mighty amount of time in the final sector, which might put him on provisional pole. Mark Schlutter for TF10. Can they once again mount the challenge to FVR like they did so bravely last season until the very last few rounds when they lost the championship? Unfortunately, let's see then the Red Bull teams. They're once again occupying the Red Bulls, by the way. No, he's actually lost a little bit of time in the final sector, only managing P7. So that's then switching our attention then to his teammate, Fian McKee, across the line. What's it going to be? Only 14th. That is very out of character for both of these drivers. P7, P14, 5.5 minutes remaining, meaning there's some time left for them. But it's far from ideal, as Taisto is next across the line. He does go 14th fastest with a 1 minute 15.199. Nicolino has gone back into the pit lane once more at invalidating his lap time, meaning he's now the only driver remaining without a time on the board yet.
Indeed he is. Plenty of drivers beginning hot laps at the moment. Lighty's just began one, as is Nando Moreira. I believe Aaron Raminguez is just finishing up a lap. That's taken him second. Wow. That's a good lap time for AMR with Aaron Raminguez there. So not bad at all for him, I believe. There's a couple of drivers on laps at the moment. I'm not sure who's leading on any hot laps at the moment. I'm not sure if Theo Bolnes. Jeremy. He's on a lap time, is he? Lovely. Let's see what he can do as he comes across the line now. Doesn't improve. Wow. Uncharacteristic, you could say.
3 milliseconds slower.
Yeah, ever so slightly. But, hey, any improvement is an improvement at the end of the day, right? Now, his teammate will be the next driver to cross the line, although he is not looking likely to set this lap time, as he has seemingly abandoned that one. Taisto is coming into the pit lane. Is anybody going to set a lap time here? Just here. Not sure if anyone's on a valid lap time, actually, thinking about it. Seems like everybody has given up this run. So, very interesting. But it does give us action-packed couple of final minutes, because it appears everybody's on an in-lap. And, well, whoever comes out next is going to be beginning what we expect to be their final flying run of this qualifying session.
Yeah, and a lot of teams in the mix for provisional pole tonight. Of course, there's FVR, the usual suspects right there. But I think everybody all the way down to, well, let's say P11 or maybe even 12 or 13 are in with a shot for provisional pole. They're all under 3:10s from Campbell Adams. But fascinatingly, Campbell's lap time still stems from the first attempt. By this point, the track, of course, has evolved, so he should be able to find quite a lot more. And potentially more than the lap time in the poll. In the live chat at the moment. Poll time 1 minute 40.650 over or under. Make sure to vote in the poll to let us know what your prediction is for what these drivers can do. Right now, we're just over 2/10s away from what the poll is predicting. So let's see if they can go quicker than that. Nick Arrow is the first to go and try and beat that lap time, or at least Campbell Adams' time on his final attempt. Less than 3 minutes remaining. Slowly but surely, everybody's trickling out of the pit lane, and very soon we will know who will claim, which team at least will claim, the very first provisional pole position.
Indeed, and especially, I mean, at this point in the season, provisional pole, and having that pole position, it's a couple extra points, but it's a bit about bragging rights, right? The first round of the season, if you take pole position there, it's kind of a bit of a statement. You could have a shocking race, but you took pole position at your first race. It's a bit of a statement. So this one is going to be highly coveted, a bit more maybe than, kind of a pole in the middle of the season. Towards the end, obviously, a bit more coveted as well, to say you ended the season strongly. But, the first pole of the season, who will it go to? Well, Nick Arrow is going to be the first driver to begin that final flying lap. He's got a bit of extra time on the other side, so if he does invalidate on this lap, he may have time to back off, recharge, and go again. So maybe a bit of strategic decision here from Nick Arrow as he goes down towards turn number 1, takes turn 1 very nicely, very aggressively, and that's exactly spot on from him there. Is now into sector, what will be sector 2 in a couple of moments' time, but beautiful opening start to the lap here, very nicely taken through those couple of corners, holds it very nice, holds it to the right, then swing it a little bit to the left, and lovely through there. The rear end looks so planted here for Nick Arrow. Beautiful start to his lap time here.
Yeah, I think it was pretty much on the limit, wasn't he? He's nearly 2/10s up on his previous attempt through Sector 1 alone, which is really breezing him towards... oh, look at that. He's lost a lot of time, actually, in Sector 2. He's lost almost a 10th right there. So he's going to have to find some magic then in Sector 3. Otherwise, we'll see him somewhere in between the times of Journey 6th and somewhere like that. It really depends on how he performs right here. For FVR, the defending champions this season, they've taken the crown from NLR, which had the crown in Season 3. Which are right now 9th and only 16th. Nick Arrow then through the final corner while the Sauber's ahead, starting a lap. But let's see how he will be doing. It's going to be a 1 minute 14. No, it isn't. It's a 1 minute 15.0 and only P8 there for the Mercedes driver, which for him probably isn't good enough. I'm watching Campbell Adams right there as well, who was on a provisional pole lap. He's currently a 10th up through Sector 2. His teammate is just ahead. Jack Humphreys will be finishing the lap first out of the two Williams drivers. Let's see where he can take the lap then. Jack Humphreys across the line goes fastest by a tiny margin over his teammate, but Campbell Adams goes quicker than that. A 1 minute 14.780. We're still a little bit away from the pole time for pole position. But that is getting it very nicely indeed. And TES are now on the front row with a few more drivers to cross the line. Leonardo Tenolato next to do so. Lighty going fourth fastest. Leonardo does not improve. Then one of the Haas drivers, David Martinez, P16 only. Sixten Lindhart goes faster. And he's showing everybody who's boss. The champion of last season occupying provisional pole for now. But there's still some drivers on the hot lap. Who of them can try and take the challenge to FVR this season? Let's find out. A few more then to cross. Gabriel Pinto stays 18th fastest. Then one of the Mercedes drivers is about to cross the line again. Can't possibly be Nick Arrow once more. No, it actually was, but he wasn't improving. Jernej Dovjan stays 8th fastest. There goes Damien Carril in P11 only. Then both McLaren drivers to cross the line. Theo Bulnes first. Oh, there goes Jeremy Gallagher into the wall after the final corner. Pushed too hard. His teammate stays in P8, and Jeremy's provisional chances for pole position have been thrown into the barrier, quite literally. So that means Nicolino, who stays in last place with only a 15.5. which for the team is miles off their qualifying performance in qualifying night, I have to admit.
Yeah, absolutely, but a really good start for 610 Lindhart and for TES. Wow, what a lap time from both of those respective teams. Obviously, Nick Arrow going to want a lot more. He's going to be very disappointed, maybe even beating himself up a little bit over that, because he really won't be happy with that. But 610 Lindhart, brilliant lap time from him as he P1. In qualifying, but here is your qualifying classification. 610 Lindhart is P1, Campbell Adams in second, with Jack Humphreys in third, Aaron Mingus in fourth, then Lighty, Jeremy Gallinier, Mark Schluter, then Theo Bones, Yene Dobson, and then Leonardo Tornaletto. There, rounding out your top 10. Nick Arrow just missing out on that top 10. He's going to want a lot more out of that, I think. He was not going to be happy.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to see that the entire grid is within 1 second of pole position. 8/10 from first to last place, and everybody until P18 is within half a second. So that is fascinating how close it is. Of course, we're going to restart the lobby right here. I believe everybody is supposed to stay in this lobby and retire immediately as soon as they can, preferably to get things underway very fast, which allows us a few minutes of a break. And then we're going to find out which team is going to take the first win of Season 5, which is somewhat a little bit of a celebratory season. I mean, 5 seasons is quite the achievement, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good as well. Good to have so many good teams here for Season 5 as well. I mean, you think about when it started, right? You know, it's been a long time since then, and now it's just absolutely bonkers crazy. But yeah, we've absolutely got a real good race on our hands to come here for the race, and that is not that far away now, as everybody is retiring at the moment and getting themselves sorted. We will have a bit of an opportunity to have a little bit of a debrief over that qualifying session, but then once we next hit the track, it'll be go and down towards turn number 1 for the very first time this season, and I am incredibly excited to get this season underway, because what a season last season was. So I have no doubt this season will be even more competitive.
Yeah, the prize pool has been upped as well for Season 5. The first team to finish in the standings will receive €200, followed by 125 for second. Then third place will receive €75. In P4, we've got €50, and P5 will receive €25. And for the first time in the history of CSS, we also have a money prize for the best driver in this season. €25 will be awarded to the driver who finishes first in the driver's standings. Of course, that is far less important to these teams than the team standings, but at least there's something to fight for, which might also encourage teams to pick the same drivers more often, because last season we saw quite a few teams opting to go with many different drivers for each week, you know, swapping them out here and there, just, you know, rolling through the drivers through the season, which at some points worked out brilliantly, at some points less so, because the race pace of drivers, of course, is going to be different. So I'm curious to see what that will make them do in terms of driver's choice. Whether they'll pick the same drivers more often, or they will still, you know, swap between drivers like in Season 4.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be really interesting to see kind of how that pans out. It's going to be a real difference, a point of comparison. You know, it makes it more of a gamble. To, you know, go and change your drivers, change that lineup. It does make it a lot more of a kind of gamble. I think that's good. Having that like gamble, that chop and change, race to race, just makes it that little bit different. You know, and it was exciting when you had a new driver step in and perform absolutely blistering. But with now money on the line for the champion, little bit more of a gamble to kind of make that chop and change, especially if you've got a driver who's on form. But then obviously those kind of lower down teams could encourage them just to make that change a little bit easier. So, you know, it's all to play for still, and I think kind of it's a nice little incentive. So it'll be good to see how it pans out.
Yeah, an incentive really never hurts to have for the teams. I mean, they're going to be fighting hard, aren't they? FER, though, they are in a little bit of trouble. I mean, they do have pole position, but they've got very quick drivers behind them, especially Sixten Lindhart. With Campbell Adams and Jack Humphreys started from second and third position, and Aaron Ramingus not being too slow either. I think Sixten is going to have trouble keeping pole position from a team that can work together, as they have both of their cars behind one another. VRM also have two cars close to one another. In fact, they start right behind each other. That's Jeremy Gallagher and Theo Boulnes in P6 and P8. But I have to admit, TF10, Byron, are a little bit on the back foot with Mark Schluter, the best position of them, only P7.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we can count them out. TF10 is never a team you can really count out in these sort of events, in these sort of championships, but definitely disappointing. Definitely disappointing there. Fion only 15th, 7th there. I think 7th is maybe about where they could have expected to be, but 15th for Fion, to put it lightly, is unacceptable for a team that kind of demand results in a sense, right? If kind of compare it to real world Formula One, it's like Max Verstappen versus Sergio Perez sort of thing, right? You need to deliver results. And at the moment, Fion not delivered results in the qualifying, but that doesn't mean that's not going to change for the race. We've got laps ahead of us and a long race to kind of decide who's hot, who's not. And I mean, the points tally at the end of this doesn't necessarily indicate where it's going to be the entire season. There's a lot of change, a lot of scope for change, but the grid is set. And the drivers are going to begin to ready up. So it seems like we are shortly going to be getting underway for the very first race of the season.
29 laps, and of course, not to forget the fact that the weather has been set to dynamic again. For the previous race, it was going to be all sunny, and then a little bit of clouds by the end of it, but it might be entirely different this time round. And we're only going to find out when the race is underway, because only then the telemetry will update for us. Really curious. Rain in Australia, I'm not sure how common it is in this game, but I believe we don't see a lot of wet races on this track particularly. So let's find out what will happen. And in terms of tire strategy, I wonder what the teams are going to choose. I wouldn't be surprised if the top drivers in the top 5, 6, 7 maybe will all go for the hard tires to make them last longer, and then opt for the mediums later down the road. And maybe the drivers who are a bit more down than they were expecting to be might gamble to start on the mediums, go a bit shorter, then undercut the rest to make up positions later down the line. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's pretty spot on from what we'd expect to see. Going, or even you could see a bit of the opposite. Drivers in towards the front starting on the mediums, going to the hards, playing a bit conservative, and then those further behind starting on the hards, running longer into the race and trying to do the overcut. But I think, if I remember off the top of my head, Australia favours the undercut strategy quite well, especially if you can get in some clean air. So I think those further behind going to start on the hards. No, they'll start on the mediums, do the undercut, go on to the hards. My brain's getting lost in all this hard and medium nonsense, but pretty much everybody getting into the lobby now. So we should be able to take you trackside in just a couple of moments, but I thought there was a poll in the YouTube chat, and no, it just turns out I had a window open that I didn't expect to have.
Poll.
Yeah, the poll of the poll.
We want the race poll.
We want a race poll. We'll get a race poll in a second. But let's take you trackside now, because the first race of the season is about to get underway in a moment. But we got a little while to wait as drivers pop on their setups and get themselves all ready and good to go. But the first round of the season is very nearly upon us. It is Melbourne. It is Australia. It's beautiful. It's lovely. It's around a lovely, lovely park. If you've ever seen Albert Park, it is a stunning place to go and visit. And they're already working on the 2025 circuit this early on, by the way, which I thought was absolutely bonkers when I saw it on Instagram the other day. But it's already ready for us here in the game, and it is pretty much go time for Season 5.
Betsy in the chat asking for the tires, please. Well, you can see On the bottom of the right of your screen, some medium tires sitting in Fian McKee's garage. I just changed from softs to mediums, and I think Fian therefore is going to start on a medium tire. Let's actually see if that is true. Although that could actually mean the spectator mode would give away which tire the Red Bull driver is going to start on.
Every race
anyway,
as well.
spoilers. Yeah, I really wonder whether that's true or not. We're just waiting for lights out, in fact. And then we'll be very happy to show you the tires as we start our 29-lap race. This Albert Park track. We see that the weather is currently a little less sunny than it was in qualifying. It's in fact cloudy at the moment. And I wonder if that is going to spell trouble for the drivers, because many of them don't really like the rain, if they are completely honest, and they would prefer dry circumstances. If the rain, though, is going to fall down in the latter half of the race, likely it is that the drivers are going to start all of them on the hard tires and wait out the rain and then switch to the inters. But, you know, that is just guesswork at the moment. We'll have to wait and see. There's the poll, the race poll, the poll. Who wins tonight, FER, TES, or AMR, or another team? Make sure then to say that in the chat. Which team you think is going to win tonight. Maybe a surprise from one of the teams. Maybe EVE can pull off a bit of a miracle from 16th and 20th on the grid. Maybe TF10 can work their way forwards like they did so well last season and get themselves into the championship fight once again. Maybe TTM can do something special in their Ferrari livery this season round, with Lighty being a fast qualifier and quite a good racer, but just very often involved in some bad luck incidents around him. So, yeah, there's a lot of play for. The cards will be shuffled, and after this race, we might potentially already know who could be fighting for the title.
Absolutely. Well, a lights out is hopefully only a couple of moments away. It feels like it's been an absolute age since we took you trackside. And I love Jan Halliday in the Discord. Matthias Karper has just said, "Can we start?" And he just said, "Nah, let's wait. We're building a setup."
Building a setup as we speak. That might take a while.
They're just crafting one. They're just crafting one. It's not. It doesn't take too long. Let's hopefully get things moving quite nice and soon, because I'd like to get going someday today. And here we go. 2, 3, 4. 5 red lights here in Australia, and it is round 1 of season 5, and it's lights out, and away we go. Sixten Lundha off to a bit of a shaky start. Campbell Adams already alongside into turn number 1. Surely TES can take the position here. No, not quite. Sixten Lundha managing to hold P1 here as lap 1 underway nice and quickly. I will get those starting tyre commands up for you nice and soon as Jack Humphreys, Campbell Adams side by side. Do not crash with your teammate. That would be absolutely disastrous here. But nice job from Campbell Adams to keep that place ahead of his teammate as lap 1 underway. Sixten Lundha continued to lead, but a lot of pressure put on him from the man behind. Campbell Adams really got a better start than the FER man in front.
In fact, it's impressive how Sixten managed to keep both TES drivers behind, because they've both started on medium tires. He started on the hards, meaning he will have a little bit of a pace disadvantage for the time being. TES will be all over him for the next few laps, but he's managed to keep them both behind so far. In fact, Aaron Ramirez and Jeremy Gallagher also started on medium tires, as David Martinez and Taisto swap positions for P14. Remember, the top 15 will be getting points in this series, not the top 10, the top 15. A lot of points awarded for finishing in first position, 35 to be precise, or at least that was the case in last season. 1 lap complete, no major incidents just yet. As Sixten, of course, gets the fastest lap of the race. DRS is enabled right now. It will be activated on the back straight after turn number 8, the curvy straight, so to say. And it looks like Sixten is actually pulling away a little bit, so he's doing quite a good job. Other than that, it's a very, very long DRS train all the way down to last place. Fian McKee and Gabriel Pinto. Oh, there goes Taisto losing several positions, having a bit of a tap with, I believe that was the RB of Gabriel Pinto there. And now he's just ahead of his teammate, and they've got an ETA driver in between them, fighting for the last few positions. Whoa, as Taisto goes quite wide indeed. Back to the front, though, because we've got a leadership change coming up right there. Not surprisingly, Campbell Adams taking the lead from Sixten Lindhard, who's been demoted now down to second place. He will still not have DRS right here, so he might be under threat from another Williams right there, who has to go around the outside. Is Sixten will drift through the inside of the corner. That really didn't work out for him at all. Now down to third as we got our first yellow flag. That's Damien Carril for NLR tumbling down the order, but thankfully there appears to be no damage done to his car as he gets a Red Bull on the inside of Ian McKee. He defends quite well from him indeed, and now Campbell Adams with the fastest lap of the race.
Indeed, Campbell Adams doing exactly what he needs to do, getting ahead of his Sixten Lindhart, and well, getting a nice window as well for his teammate to get into that P2 spot as well. This is an ideal scenario for TES here because now they have got P1, P2 locked down, can work together to try and maintain those places and really manage this race to exactly how they want to go. So it's down to Sixten Lindhart to try and get into the mix of here and disrupt this TES party, because that's what's going to need to happen here. As looks like there's about to be a change of position here between Lighty and Jeremy Gallanier as they go side by side, surely not into turn number 9 and 10. Oh, it's absolutely happened as Jeremy Gallanier had to back off of that one. Otherwise, he was going to be at risk of losing that place and possibly having an incident there through that sequence of corners. So loses that place, has to take that step back for now. But lap 3 of 29, and well, we've got a long way to go in this race, and it doesn't seem like it is going to be the best of races for EVE at the moment. We said about how they were so good in qualifying. It's not translated to race pace, annoyingly for them, but absolute delight at the moment for TES. P1, P2, you couldn't ask for anything more from them.
Yeah, Taiso's nearly flying into the barrier, has forced him to pit actually. And now he's far behind the rest of the field. We see Nando Moreira and Gabriel Pinto going side by side, nearly losing control there. The Ferrari does. He's got damage to the left side of the front wing as well, which might explain why he's now getting overtaken by several drivers already. One TTN driver is moving forwards, the other is moving backwards, as Theo Bulnes is the first driver to get a penalty there for track limits. Jeremy Gallanier is once again in trouble. His medium tires just don't work at all. There goes Mark Schluter, also on the hard tires, past. At the same time, Sixten Lindhart going for a wild move on both TES drivers. He's absolutely mad right there, but he's managed to do the job despite them working together. The Mercedes is doing it all on his own, and he's moved back by the most brave move I've ever seen in a long, long time. Sixten Lindhart retakes the lead from both TES drivers. Lighty is going to try and take fourth place from Aaron Raminges in the meanwhile. Fighting for the lead of the race. It's happening everywhere right now. Jernej Dovjan currently sitting in P8, but Mark Schluter is making up ground as well. He's getting awfully close to Lighty as well. Lighty will have to hurry up because it might look like Mark Schluter might have a bit more pace than a Ferrari at the moment, but excitement all along. Cheer everywhere in the field, all the way down to last place. There goes Lighty again, a bit of a bump on the outside. The left rear tire there of the Haas getting a bit of a hit from the Ferrari, but Lighty's still forced to stay behind, but he's definitely warning Aaron Raminges, I'm coming for you. Despite your faster tires, I'm going to get it past you as soon as possible. So on the back straight, is he going to make it work? Let's find out.
Absolutely brilliant. He's pretty much already alongside, so he's doing a really good job. For those wondering about the weather, it's on the right hand side of your screen now. Is it going to rain is the question being asked at the moment. The forecast says no,
isn't.
but it is well, you never know. It is overcast at the minute. Could change towards the end of this race, but at the moment not forecast. But Lighty up to fourth, lovely done for him, and now we can try and get stuck in here as Jeremy Gallanier looked to try and get stuck in on Mark Schluter, but not able to make that place, and he's now under a bit of pressure from the kick Sauber behind as Aaron Raminges now having to try and defend here from Mark Schluter as well as we head down that main straight once more, and a gap opened a little bit there between Aaron Raminges and Lighty here as we head down that straight, and well, just about keeping that place. Aaron Raminges, AMR, still running in the top 5 here.
Incredible, isn't it? The medium tires, I'm not sure what's wrong with them. It's only 5 laps off, and already it looks like the hard tires are having the advantage this early in the race. Lighty is hounding the TES cars. Sixten Lindhart has no problem keeping them both behind at the moment. Mark Schluter, of course, trying to follow through with Lighty ahead of him. Aaron Ramirez has been overtaken by Mark Schluter already. Oh, poor exit there from Lighty has immediately allowed Mark Schluter to get past, no problem whatsoever, as Janae Dovjan is the next to knock on Jeremy Galanier's door, goes in and swoops and takes the position immediately, no time wasted. Leadership change there between Sixton and Campbell, as Campbell Adams retakes the lead, but Sixton Lithard, despite having no DRS, is still keeping him very close in his vices right there, doing a great job all on his own. He's now in a sandwich of TES. Jeremy Gagne is in trouble even more, moving down several positions now down to P10. I'm not sure what's happening to the Frenchman, but it's definitely not looking like his day whatsoever, isn't it?
No, absolutely not. It's a real difficult race at the moment for Jeremy Gallagher, but he's on a different strategy. Can it work for him? There's a 3 wide moment I've noticed there, just going down the straight. There's a couple of moves there into turn number 1 as Fionn McKee. Oh, he gets crossed up with an NLR of Damien Corral. He loses quite a few places out of that one. So maybe a little bit of a ballsy trying to almost shove Damien Corral off of run him out of road there. So not popular Fionn McKee in his well, the race here, the first race of the season, and I'm sure NLR have already maybe marked a team that they're not too happy with, but Sixten Lindhart getting back ahead of Campbell Adams and back up into P1 here as now TES slot back into second and third, but Mark Schluter is currently knocking quite nicely on the back of Jack Humphreys and could be thinking about a move quite soon as Yone Thompson there ahead of Aaron Ramirez. And as you say, the medium compound tyres, they just don't seem to be working, bar TES, who seems to be getting a lot of pace out of these tyres.
Yep, Mark Schluter has not yet found a way past, but not for much longer, because there he goes and tries to swallow the first TES driver, but it looks like Jack is just a little bit faster on the straight at the moment. So Mark Schluter will have to stay in P4 for the time being. We see Damien Curiel dropping down the order once again. It looks like the top 12 has separated now from the drivers behind, as Jack Humphreys has to defend the inside from Mark Schluter, still managing to stay ahead for now. We're 8 laps in, and this should be the point where the hards are definitely better than the medium tires. If my math is all correct right there, we head on to the next bit of DRS coming up right there. Mark Schluter is already within the gearbox of the Williams car. All he has to do now is go around the outside, but it looks like Jack Humphreys in the corners, he might be a little bit slow, but on the straights he's absolutely flying, and in fact he's driving away from Mark Schluter once again. Mark Schluter having no chance to get past on the straight, which might spell trouble for him, as he's got a gap of about 0.2 of a second right now. Lighty is still behind him in P5. He would like to get back past the Red Bull right there. All of them on the hards. Jernej Dovjan also making his ground up there, currently sitting in P6. And there goes Mark Schluter in the corners. He knows that's where he's strong, but he's got to go around the outside right now. Will he have more grip on the final corner? Nearly goes onto the grass. And now they're properly side by side, and then there's a drag race to turn 1 again. Of course it's being won by Jack Humphreys, because he's got a rocket ship on the straights. Mark Schluter's got a rocket ship in the corner, so where is he going to make the move once again? Is he going to go on the inside here with a big dive bomb? No, he is not going to try that, but be a bit too risky right there. But TF10 with Mark Schluter is definitely back in the mix for the win.
Absolutely, he very much is, and he's very much applying the pressure to Jack Humphreys at the moment, getting him into corners which aren't necessarily your typical overtaking moves as well, slinging a bit of a surprise down the inside there into turn 13. Lovely from Mark Schluter, who now, once again, very close to the back of Jack Humphreys here, thinking probably about that move and how nice it would be to get it done the second time around. But he's got to absolutely lick the stamp and send it here if he wants to get the move done into turn number 11. But cannot get it done there into that corner. But he's got a little while to go to try and make this move. He's got the faster tyres now. We can pretty much deduce that the hards are just that little bit better than the mediums at the moment. So it's a matter of when, not if, for Jack Humphreys falling to 4th, as once again the rocket ship down the straight, keeping Jack Humphreys just ahead for the time being.
It's incredible. You can see Mark Rutte getting closer so much quicker through the corners. And then on the stretch, Jack Humphrey just runs away. Like, bye-bye, see you later. And nothing happens for Mark. And something happens because he got tapped around by Lighty's Ferrari. And now Lighty's got damage to the front wing as well. That means both Ferraris in trouble with a little bit less downforce than it would have liked. Maybe it will help them, or at least Lighty in the charge against the Williams cars. But that is definitely not the way. He wants to get past Mark Rutte because now Rutte down in 18th. And in the second group of cars, there goes TF10 out of contention for the win. Unless a miracle with a safety car or something like that will change it. As Campbell Adams got back past Sixten Lindhardt once again. No surprises there as they keep swapping positions around for the lead of the race. There's Jan Adolfsson going left and right, trying to find a way past Lighty as he's getting hampered and slowed down by these front wing issues. The best opportunity for Janae also to pass in the corners. Is he going to do it in turn 13? No, he isn't. But he's really hounding the Ferrari. Another yellow flag as Nando Moreira, the other Ferrari, spun out of control in turn 11. And there goes one of the top 3 cars. Jack Humphreys in for his pit stop, goes to the hard tires. And I wonder how long the other medium tires are going to stay out.
Yeah, it's a question of, well, many answers and not many possibilities at the moment, I believe. Someone ran a little bit wide there and ghosted for a second. I think that was 610. Yeah. He ran wide on the exit of turn number 1. And on the exit of there, just lost a little bit of pace. It does seem that Lighty's pace isn't too bad, despite that little bit of damage that he's got. So I do wonder what he'll do here, but he's now got a lot of pressure from Nick Arrow, who, by the way, started this race in 11th. He's doing a really good job at the moment to now be in the contention for 4th place at the moment. So not doing a bad job at all. Nick Arrow, but there again, the undercut for those who have gone onto the hards already could prove very decisive in this race as now we move through lap 11 and on towards lap 12. I do wonder if we'll see Campbell Adams into the pit lane at the end of this lap, or whether he'll just leave it that one lap later, but he does come in at the end of that lap. What about Gabriel Pinto? Gabriel Pinto stays out. He wants another lap on these tyres, just building a bit of a tyre offset, and well, he's will carry on for at least another lap.
Yeah, Jack Humphrey's currently stuck behind Nando Moreira, who's on 10-lap old hard tyres. He's still in his first stint. The Ferrari through the corners as he has to get past. He's desperate to get past right there. This is crucial time being lost there for the Williams driver, but he does get past indeed. And now he has to get back within a second of his own teammate so they can tow one another along to the top of the field, who are still going around with only Gabriel Pinto in the mediums. And I wouldn't be surprised if he goes in this lap for the switch to the hard tires to undercut the rest as well. There he goes indeed. That means 7 drivers now remain close together, or should I say 6 drivers in fact, fighting for the win at the moment as the others have pitted already. Let's find out where they will be compared to these once they switch to the mediums.
Indeed, Gabriel Pinto into the pit lane. Apologies to those who are hearing a little bit of a glitching in the stream. That is the storm that's hit the UK. There's not much I can do about that, unfortunately. It's causing a little bit of havoc on the signal in my area, so apologies for that, but the action continues. Lap 13 of 29. We are getting towards half distance in this race, and 610 Lindhardt continues to lead the way here, followed by Jene Dovson there in second place. Both of these drivers are looking for just that really good race as, well, ABS take the lead of this race now, and 610 Lindhardt will have to look to try and respond here, but you see you get the overtake done along that first DRS straight there. You get that double dose of DRS there down that second straight. So working well for Jene Dovson there as he takes the lead and just is able to keep that little bit sooner. But yeah, absolutely. 610 Lindhardt will be looking to try and respond quite nicely, as I'm sure will Nick Arrow, who's continuing to try and apply that pressure to Lighty in front.
Yeah, I think this storm you're suffering from is going to hit the track real soon by the end of the race as well, won't it? Once everybody's back together and fight for the win of the race. It's now 6 drivers, and Theo Bulnes is barely able to hang on to the top 5 right there, just within DRS range for now, as Mark Schluter is on a charge, getting back past Nicolino, a bit of a twitch coming out of the corner. It's, whoa, Nicolino, in fact, nearly losing the car right behind Mark Schluter there, as Lighty now gets a 3-second time penalty. That's really going to hurt TTM's chance of winning the race, with the front wing damage added to that as well. He's starting to lose a little bit of time to the top 2. Sixten Lindhard is all over the back of Journey Dovjan once again, as he tries to get past the Sauber. ABS is now in the mix for the win. We weren't thinking that by qualifying night, but here they are. But not surprising, because it's Journey Dovjan. He's always been really, really fast, and he's back in business once again, and showing immediately that he's got loads of pace to begin with. And that should probably make for a promising season for the team in green as well, as we are slowly approaching the point where those on the hard tires will switch to the mediums by around lap, I would say 17 or 18. And then we will see who will be in the contention properly for the victory indeed.
Indeed, we've got a little while to go in this race, yeah, but as you say, once those drivers on the hard compound tyre come into the pit lane, we are a real point of indication as to how things are going. And I think it will be really interesting to just see what that looks like come then. But Ana Dominguez, that's not a good penalty to get when you're in contention for a possible race win. You're in that kind of hunt. A 3-second penalty, that's not good. The same can go for Lighty as well, although you can chalk his down to possibly that damage. Ana Dominguez, no excuse really for why he's got that penalty, as Sixten Lindhard gets around the outside there of Jene Dolfsen there, and back up into P1. And these two, they're just going to keep changing positions for as long as the tyres are in a good place.
Yes, indeed. We are now officially at the halfway point of the race, and it is as follows. Sixten Lindhard keeps swapping positions with whoever is behind him. In this case, is Journey Dovjan, as he's still leading the race. His teammate Nick Arrow, in the meanwhile, has made up a lot of ground, and he can now potentially assist his teammate to make FVR work together really, really well, and taking the fight to the blue cars of TES, who already, of course, pitted as they have both started on the medium. So it's interesting to see different teams picking different strategies, and it's no different for FVR versus TES, which might potentially be the battle of the season, at least for now, with Journey and Lighty for their teams respectively. Oh, Sixten makes a mistake going into turn number 3, sorry, and Journey breezes past there. That probably wasn't really what Sixten had in mind when swapping positions with whoever is behind right there, as he wanted to do it on the straight that's coming up right here, and he's going to have to try that all over again. In the meanwhile, secretly, Leonardo Tanalato for ET8 is also still in the mix for the win of the race in his fancy Aston Martin right there, happily driving along, waiting patiently for the opportunity to strike as Sixten gets back past, but Lighty is also trying to get back past Journey Dovjan into turns 9 and 10. A brave move, and Lighty gets pushed, Journey gets pushed off the track. There comes Leonardo Tanalato out of nowhere. This is that opportunity that I was talking about moments earlier, as he gets tapped by Nick Arrow right there. Suddenly chaos all over the place. And where's Lighty gone? Lighty's disappeared into the gravel. Absolute disaster again for the TTM team, who have already got one retiree in the pit lane, standing still in the pit box right there. Now Lighty in proper trouble, and we've only got 5 drivers remaining, fighting for that lead of the race, as Gustav Reiderdal, the first of the hard tire users to pit, alongside Lighty, of course, who's got no choice, I'm afraid. He might have to replace his front wing as well, or does he? No, he doesn't. Goes to the medium tires, and hopefully for him, goes and undercuts some more drivers right there. Sixten Lindhard and all the chaos has driven away from the group right there. He's no longer in trouble from DRS in behind, as Leonardo finds himself in second all of a sudden.
Indeed, it might be a bit counterintuitive though for Sixten to try and extend this gap though, because Nick Arrow, his teammate, can't really benefit at the moment, because now he's stuck behind Leonardo Tanaletto, and now gets back up and into second place within a second as well, and he'll get that double bite of the cherry here. Is now he'll go down that second straight, but gets a 3-second time penalty as he ran wide there on the exit of turn 10, although I have no doubt that incident that happened just a lap earlier will definitely be going to the steward's room there. And yeah, definitely some accusations thrown one way or another to plenty of these drivers, I think, because they are probably seething a little bit, especially if you're Lighty, he might feel a little bit hard done by there, but going to be interesting to see what the stewards have to say on that one. But lap 18 of 29 and some more hard tyres into the pit lane there as Nicolino comes into the pit lane. And Fionn McKee as well into the pit lane as well. And where do they come out in this race? Quite a way behind those who started on the mediums, went to the hards. So the undercut very much has worked in the favour of those who took it, for the time being at least.
Team TS have now cleared all those drivers still on the hard tyres. They are now in the net lead in 1-2 of the race, in fact. And they will have a massive lead over FVR, which now have their 1-2 in the hands at the moment. Unfortunately for Nick Arrow, as you said, has gotten that 3-second time penalty, but one of those warnings might have been received by getting pushed off the track a lap or two ago. And do not forget that while Lighty might have been pushed into trouble, he also might be in trouble from the FIA from the tap on Mark Schluter's rear at the start of the race, or at least in the first few laps. So let's see whether FVR have gotten the memo that TS has cleared everybody. Looks like they're going to bring in Nick Arrow first and foremost. ETA bring in Leonardo Tonolato as well as he goes for the hard tires. He's very happy to see all those penalties around him because this might figure an ETA win for them. And that would be quite a surprise to see after all this racing tonight. There go Jack Humphries and Campbell Adams back into second and third with Mark Schluter, who's yet to pit, still in tow. Jeremy Gallagher and Aaron Dominguez found each other on the track as Jeremy, goes a little bit too wide, also gets a 3-second time penalty, which makes those without a time penalty, even happier than that. Gabriel Pinto, is also still within a shot of those two drivers ahead as they're fighting hard. He is allowed to stay within DRS range in his RB right there for NLR, potentially a podium as well then.
Indeed, not looking too bad at all. And, well, you look at the gap between Nick Arrow and Gabriel Pinto. 5.4. Interesting. Not great. That's a pretty decent margin. 10 laps to go. Got to gain by at least 5 tenths a lap to have a chance. I'd say they can do it, just whether once they're there, they're able to make the overtakes they need to. There's a lot of places to try and make up there. If Nick Arrow wants to win this race, he's got to make about 6 places up. And that's 6 overtakes that aren't going to come easy here because these drivers are not going to want to give up a shot at a race win. A 6-10 Lindhart into the lead. Campbell Adams retakes P1.
Indeed he does. TS now in a commanding lead of the race. Jeremy Gallagher is very far behind. He's got Aaron Dominguez and Gabriel Pinto in tow. And they will have to work together really hard to make sure they catch up to the Williams cars. Nick Arrow is now the lead of the group still. Sixten Lindhart, while leading the race, has been the second driver to pit, surprisingly. And he's now stuck behind several cars to get to his teammate. In fact, he was under attack there for a little bit from Jerné Jean, who finds himself in 10th place with the front and left plate of the front wing missing as well. So that's terrible news there, potentially some loss. Oh, Aaron Dominguez is out! He's gone in a safety car! A safety car has been pulled out just after everybody's pitted. What on earth happened to Aaron Dominguez right there?
I have not got a clue, but I would expect that is just a driver error on the exit of, I believe that's turn 5, that he may have just, turn 6, sorry, he's just made an error. Just got a bit too aggressive, and yeah, really not good for him. This could play into the hands of TS. They have a margin, so they could possibly get into the pit lane, come back out without losing too much time or place-wise.
Got to double stack too.
They have enough time to be able to just about manage a double stack, I would have thought. It's about 1.9 between the two, so Jack Humphries may lose a couple attempts. But for those who've just pit onto the mediums, not really ideal. However, they are able to gain these places, but now they'll be even fresher mediums behind them. So the race has turned on its head. Campbell Adams, 10-second time penalty for crossing. Oh, and Jack Humphries as well. Both TES drivers have crossed the pit lane. White line, 10-second time penalty to both of them.
Do that?
Well, that was stupid.
Ignore them. I'm getting heard in the chat. Ignore those 10-second time penalties. Probably a mistake or a glitch or something. if they report it, that is. I'm not sure how they managed to get it both. It's fascinating. Pointless still to cross, says Isaac. Yeah, you could say many things, but if it's a rule, it's a rule. But yeah, you know, it's legal here. Okay, well, I guess we're going to see those time penalties removed, which is, it's going to be a bit difficult then to announce the standings by the end of the race. We're going to have to do some math, Byron, to announce the official results. Fascinatingly, FPR, of course, have decided to stay out. They had the worst luck in safety car timing, but at least they are now in command of the race somewhat, as they still got an Aston Martin in between themselves, who's also managed to get a penalty of 10 seconds somewhere. I'm not sure why he did that. Get that one. Looks like he managed to get a big collision according to the game, if my telemetry reads that correctly. So he probably got that collision under safety car conditions. Might be removable, but he does have front wing damage, so there's chaos at every corner of the track at the moment, and it's still anybody's game, I'd say.
Indeed, and I think the real point here is Nick Arrow. He started the race P11. He's currently P1. That is not bad going for Nick Arrow. Started for 11th, currently first. Pretty good as Leonardo Tornaletto into the pit lane. And, well, he will now...
He's serving his penalty.
Yeah. So it makes sense for him to do that.
I'm not sure, actually.
I mean,
you know, if that is a removable penalty, he can no longer remove it.
That's very true. But...
now he's in last.
Yeah, very interesting. But, Nicolino, severe collision with Nicolino. 10-second time penalty. Are we ever going to get racing here? Or is everybody just going to have to pit to remove penalties? Because at the moment it does seem that way. Here's how it is under the safety car conditions, though. Nick Arrow from 11th on the grid leads the way at the moment, followed by 6'10", Lindhart, who started in second place, I believe, if I remember off the top of my head correctly. Then Yerne Dobson there, Campbell Adams, who you would say has got a bit of an upper hand here. He's got slightly fresher tyres than those in front. However, not necessarily going to provide him too much of a performance benefit. Then Gustav Riderhall, Theo Bolnes, Jack Humphreys, Mark Schluter, then Gabriel Pinto, and Jeremy Gallanier, soft tyres. And I think that's going to be interesting to see. Soft tyres. Do they make it to the end of the race? And do they have decent performance at the end of the race?
I wonder. We're going to find out very soon. Also, a small apology for Tony Hitala for not knowing every single detail in the game. We're getting back underway. FPR leading 1-2. TES, well, they have double stacked, have lost 2 positions to Gustav and Theo because they've decided to stay out. But what can FPR do from first and second place? There they go. And it looks like Nick Arrow's absolutely been flying off the line, and Sixten has been holding everybody off. A brilliant strategy there by Sixten and Nick Arrow, because I think that is perfectly allowed, as Lightina Under gets another 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's absolute disaster for the man who's fighting for the win. Sixten Lindhart under pressure from very angry drivers behind. Because they have been held up by a Mercedes, while the other Mercedes have been allowed to fly away because he's got that 3-second time penalty to his name. He's got to clear a 3-second gap, because I think this is where the moment where he realized he can't get the penalty removed anymore by probably too many warnings, as Jernej Dovjan is under pressure from Campbell Adams. Campbell has still not got DRS because that will be enabled in the next lap, but can he swoop around the outside towards turn 9? He can't. Jernej is just a little bit faster than he is, and for now he's going to have to stay behind. But Jack Humphreys still's got 2 cars ahead of him to get back to his teammate. TES, thanks to the safety car, is a little bit down the order, a bit further than I would have liked.
Yeah, really interesting to see what's going on.
Oh! Jack, sorry to interrupt.
Now I've just seen that.
Yep.
Oh dear.
He's lost his front wing.
It's not good for Jack Humphreys. I'm noticing there's a few drivers moving down as well. Yerne Dovson there in second place now. 2.4 the gap between himself and Nick Arrow. Nick Arrow and definitely Sixten Lindhart working together there. That is brilliant brilliant, brilliant strategy and play there to try and maximise the points haul with a late safety car. They were absolutely able to do that within their rights, and it's worked really well for them. So Cameron Adams up into third. Jack Humphreys obviously in the pit lane all the way down towards the end. Theo Bones as well. There's still a few points possibly up for grabs if someone else down towards the bottom of the field has a bit of an error as Yone is having to battle here with Campbell Adams as Campbell Adams nicely makes that move. Sexton also makes that move here. So now Yone goes down 2 places. Another 10-second time penalty for Jack Humphreys. That'll be removed, no doubt, but the original one won't, as he has now served that penalty as Campbell Adams under pressure here from 6'10" Linhart, who's trying to make it back into an FVR 1-2, and no doubt, if he's able to, will then be holding up this grid to try and give that extra 1 second that Nick Harrow needs.
Yeah, he's going to have to hurry up because, yeah, of course, Campbell has that penalty. But that is now set to pass that only Haas driver remaining right there to score points for the team. Yeah, Alex is doing shouldn't take them just in case. At the moment, there is still less than 3 seconds between first and second, so the restart has been brilliant, and I think perfectly within the rules for the team to make that brilliant move right there. But there's still some time to be gained, and it's only getting worse and worse now for Nick Arrow, because it looks like Campbell's got the upper hand in pace, and now Sixton gonna pass, and Campbell really doesn't want that. So there they go. Is Sixton going to make the move? Not yet. He's a bit too far back. Does he get a good exit out of turns 9 and 10? What he somewhat does, at least he's got the speed with DRS and the battery as well. He's going to make the move in here in turn 11 to gain his teammates some extra time. The gap back up to about 2 seconds right there, and that is exactly what he should be doing at the moment to help his teammate to victory. Campbell Adams wants to make in this corner. That's a queue forming up behind the Mercedes. It is strategy at work for FVR.
It absolutely is. Really beautifully done from 6'10" Linhart. You can see how he's parking the car as much as he can to the middle of the racetrack to try and really lose as much time for those behind as possible. He's probably saving the battery as well for these strategic moments where he needs it. Every corner, he's just trying to lose that 10th or 2, and he's doing a brilliant job here to try and do exactly what he needs to do to guarantee this 1-2 for FVR. And what a way to start their season it would be. As you'll see, he will now undoubtedly be deploying battery as we head down this straight to try and keep this P2 from Campbell Adams behind, and then we'll immediately go back into defensive mode if he keeps that place, but he's not able to. So we'll now have to go back on the offense to try and get this place back, but it's all in the game of fun and strategy here, as now 6'10" Linhart will have to try and re-overtake Campbell Adams once more, but the gap has opened up by about a 10th from where it was last time Campbell Adams was in P2, sorry. So now sitting at about 2.2, so yeah, FVR are doing a really good job.
Yes, indeed. It looks like the soft tires in the meanwhile are starting to slip off a little bit. Damien and Jeremy are getting overtaken everywhere right now. Jeremy is hanging on to the verge of the top 10 right there, with Nicolino behind. A brilliant recovery for the EVE drivers. He's about to enter the top 10 as well. Strong drive for EVE tonight with their qualifying results earlier in mind. And they're going to do everything to get more points on the board. Nicolino, they are nearly losing control of the car, but we've got to switch our attention back in front to Campbell Adams, who's trying to go close the gap desperately. Another desperate man behind 6'10" Linhart. He wants to get past again, and Mark Schluter in the meanwhile, despite a step from Lighty, is back in business, and he could potentially steal the win away from both of these teams as he swoops past 6'10" Linhart. It's the last thing 6'10" wants as he tries to stay ahead of the German, and he manages to do it through turns 9 and 10 without touching the Red Bull right there. Brilliant racing from these two drivers, exemplary racing from both of them, and that is how you should do it all the time, without any incidents or front wings losing.
They are doing a brilliant job of fighting, but Sixten really wants to bring the fight to Campbell Adams instead of Mark Schluter, as he wants to get ahead of the Williams very soon. But there's only 2 laps remaining, and the gap is now down to 1.3 seconds, which is not nearly enough to get the job done of securing an FER 1-2, and the poll is up of the question of will FER secure a win or a 1-2. At the moment, the answer is no, because Campbell Adams, Mark Schluter and Jernej Dovjan, and maybe even Gustav Breidendal are still in with a shot of victory.
Indeed, and yeah, Campbell Adams has done a really good job to close this gap since getting back up into P2. He's closed in by about a second, so he's really doing a really mighty job here at the moment in P2 to get that gap down to under a second. Is he able to manage it here? If he's able to get it under that magic 1 second window, he gets that rear wing, and then Nick Arrow is going to be in a whole world of pain and a whole heap of trouble. But now Sixten Lindhardt back up into P2, and he's undoubtedly about to go back.
Parking it again.
He's about to start parking it. Absolutely. It's like the bus stop chicane. He's actually going about the speed of a bus here, around here. There's just, this is penultimate lap. There's one more lap to go after this one. You can see already Sixten losing as much time as he can as Jernej Dovjan runs off the track a little bit. He loses a bit of time there. The gap now 1.5 seconds there. Damien Corral has gone around there. I believe that's on the exit of the final corner, turn 14 there. Sixten Lindhardt though, now onto the final lap of action and trying to do his best here to try and get this 1-2. It's not looking likely, however.
It is very unlikely indeed. Nick Arrow is only 1.5 seconds clear from what is now his own teammate, and Mark Schluter suddenly finds himself within a proper shot of the win. After disaster early in the race, he finds himself in a proper shot to bring TF10 in the fight for the championship, as they did last season, as a blue flag there for Lighty, who was also fighting for the win, is getting lapped by many cars right there. And there we go then. Nick Arrow has slowed down a lot to allow Sixten DRS right there. FER now working together as much as they can to save what they can there for the win. At the moment, Sixten stays in the lead of the race, and that might mean FER will still secure a victory unless Mark Schluter, I have a say about it, is going to try around the outside in turn 11, but there's no room there yet as Sixten keeps the door closed. There's Campbell Adams trying to get back onto the podium, but the 3 seconds penalty there, it's no go for Nick Arrow on the podium places. Sixten nearly gives away the position to Mark Schluter, but round the final corner they come, and surely the victory is now safe for FER, with Sixten Lindhardt doing the job as he should have, and wins the race for FER. Mark Schluter, after a brilliant recovery, finishes in 6th place, and that splits the FER drivers as Nick Arrow, with this penalty, finishes 3rd, but I believe that should belong to Campbell Adams, who can still remove the 10-second time penalty. But man, oh man, what a finish there in this race.
Yeah, really interesting. Sixten Lindhardt, brilliant clinical drive from him. Mark Schluter as well, really pushed Sixten Lindhardt across around this lap, as also Nick Arrow. Really really unique idea there from FER to try and get that 1-2. Not able to do it, but you don't take and you don't get any shots that you don't take. So brilliant try from FER. Didn't quite pan out maybe the way they'd hoped, but they certainly nearly pulled it off.
Yeah, I was saying that Nick Arrow slowed down to help his teammate, but he didn't do it on purpose apparently, because according to Max in the chat, his pace was gone, so no chance anymore. They've tried and they didn't succeed for a 1-2, but they do succeed in a win for the race, as Sixten has claimed it from pole to first in the end, after everything that happened with the safety car, the incidents and everything around it. They've come out victorious, and they start the season off in almost the best way possible. Mark Schluter then is finished in 2nd place, and that should then Campbell Adams finishing in 3rd. He just finished behind Mark Schluter right there. He'll be rounding up the podiums. Nick Arrow P4, Jernej Dovjan P5, Ian McKee for TF10. We've completely missed it, but he's also done a brilliant recovery for the Red Bull TF10 team, finishing at P6. Strong start for the season for them as well in the hunt of FER. ET8 got 2 cars in the top 10 as well, in 7th and 8th with Gustavo Leonardo right there. NLR with Gabriel Pinto in P9. David Martinez for AMR, his teammate, out of the race. He finishes in the top 10.
then Taisto and P11, Drax P12, Campbell Adams should be then P3. That means Jeremy Gallagher finishes in 13th, Theoban as P14, Jack Humphreys in P15, even with a penalty removed. Then Nicolino should have been in what's it? Let me see if the penalties can go out of the way. He should finish P14. Damien Curiel should have been finishing a P15-ish as well. Lighty a lap down in P18. Then Aaron Ramingus and Neno Moreira with no finish in the first race.
Yeah, disappointing for those who didn't finish, but yeah, what a race. Really quite something. Quite a different race as well. It's not very often you have that level of drama, that level of carnage, that level of chaos. I mean, so many moments where near misses happened, but Sixten Lundhardt, the way in which that man was able to hold the car around some of those corners, turns 9 and 10. Just always somehow managing to go side by side with another car. Mind-boggling stuff from him, but brilliant racing tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no other way. I think there will be a few incidents that will be reported, of course. Some drivers will be in trouble indeed. But, you know, FVR, I think, kept it very clean. So did Mark Schluter and the TES drivers as well. Many other drivers around them kept their noses clean as much as possible. Some front wings have been damaged. I think Jack Humphreys got really unlucky there with the collision. The TES could have had much better results, and I think what is being shown tonight is definitely not representative of their pace, because they've been up there all race long fighting for the win. I think it's a good idea to see if we can get some drivers up here for an interview, isn't it?
Yeah, let's see if there's anyone waiting for us. I don't see anyone waiting. Let's see if we're able to get any of our top 3 in for an interview. Be good to hear from them. I mean, they're pretty carnage. Pretty sure there's going to be a couple of them that aren't too happy, given some of the carnage that's ensued. But yeah, no, absolutely. What a race that was. And we'll see what we're able to... I like Nick Arrow going, does that mean me? He's not even sure.
Yeah, he's confirming it already with Campbell in the top 3, technically.
Well, yeah, but yeah, no, not worth. He's P4 for the moment. Sixten Lundhardt not available for an interview. And then. Really confusing Nick Arrow. A bit confused. He doesn't understand that there's a penalty. Penalty that's yet to be removed. Appears the driver's not too keen for an interview. Nick Arrow, 11th to 4th.
That's a shame.
Good enough. I mean, it would have been great to have had perspective from these drivers. I mean, such a difficult race. It was kind of like an all over the place sort of race. You know, there was pretty much a bit of everything. Really good racing, a little bit of carnage, a little bit of chaos. Couldn't ask for anything more.
Yeah, and I think, well, it's maybe a bit early to say, but the teams in contention for the championship, we can certainly say FVR and TES are in it.
Yep.
But I wouldn't be surprised to see teams like ABS, ET8. What's more, which team am I missing right now? AMR.
Yeah.
If Aaron had still been in the race, potentially for a championship fight as well. So more than 2 teams this season for the top step, and that big prize pool right there, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely say there's quite a few teams in contention. TES and obviously FER both did brilliant jobs tonight, but just because they did a brilliant job tonight doesn't mean it's not gonna change the moment we head to round 2 or 3, right? Like, so early on in the season, anything's possible. Everything can change really in a heartbeat. And I think that's just kind of the wonder of a brand new season. You know, especially when pace is so track dependent. You know, we see it in the world of real Formula 1, right? Just because you're good at one track doesn't mean you're going to be good at all tracks. And we absolutely see that, especially early on in the season, because we can have some real shockers when a team's really strong at the first race, and then all of a sudden they rock up to the second race, and it's like they've brought a boat to the track. It is so yeah, there's a lot of talking points to go by. Obviously FER looking strong, and we'd expect them to stay strong through the season, but is TES's pace and performance that we saw tonight a one-hit wonder, or is it something that will be sustained across the entirety of this season? It's going to be really interesting to see.
Yeah, and just having a little bit of a look at the calendar, because Australia is now officially done, and we are looking forward already to the next race in the season. Round number 2 will be happening in Barcelona, Spain. A different type of track, and maybe we'll see different drivers and different teams on the pole position and the top step of the podium right there. It's too early to say, and unfortunately we cannot ask the drivers what they think of next week because nobody wanted an interview, so that's a bit of a shame. Anyway, I think it's time to round off the stream, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, round 2, Spain hitting your screens this time next week, but also don't forget console is tomorrow, heading to Australia for their first round of the season as well, and we got plenty of good teams over there as well, so that's going to be really interesting to see. But Season 5 has begun, FVR taking the win. Interesting strategy at play from them, but I'm sure we'll see plenty more interesting strategies across the rest of this season.
I mean, that's what a team championship is all about, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's exactly what it's all about.
Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Leave a like so we all know you appreciate the stream. Thank you so much for tuning in as well. It's been a very busy live chat as well, which is always very fun and very awesome to see. So thank you all for staying with us through the race and helping Byron through the storm that's raging in England. We aren't feeling anything of it here in the Netherlands, by the way. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. We'll see you next week. Same same place, actually. Not the same plane. That would be something. Same place, same time. Until then, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome back to the competitive Sports series.
The absolute carnage on this final lap. 5 red lights here in Miami. Can they regain that place?
I cannot believe my eyes.
Who comes out on top? Down the inside into Casio Triangle. This could end in disaster.
So Zach Miles taking the lead. It was an all-or-nothing approach for the TF10 team.
And this could be crucial for NBR.
A race to remember with Jeremy Gallagher.
And they are officially the champions of the season.
It does not get closer than that. What a race. What a